Hello, beautiful ladies. Karen McCoy here to our Warrior Woman Over 40 Fit and Lean YouTube and podcast. So today I want to talk about the changing seasons. So I live in Canada, and Canada definitely has the four changing seasons. Now, some of you guys don't change as much, especially if you're living down south near the equator. So here's what I want you to know. We are moving into fall, and with fall, there's a change in the energy. We need a change in our food, change in our training, change in our perspective on the world. It is a time of contemplation and more inner work. So, what I want to share with you is a little bit of Chinese medicine wisdom, because Chinese medicine has been around for a very, very long time. And it helped serve me when I was very ill, getting my body back, but it also gives a broader perspective and puts things in order in a different way than we do in our normal, everyday North American world. If you guys are listening from North America, maybe you're further along in other countries, I don't know. But here's what they say about fall, which is upon us now. I'm on the west coast of Canada. It's definitely upon us now. This is what they say. In traditional Chinese medicine, metal is the metal element. Okay, so we have the five elements. The metal element governs the lung and large intestine mainly, and the nose and skin, right? So, ironically, if you think about it, they are all about releasing and letting go and bringing in, and releasing and letting go and bringing in. And that's exactly what the fall is. The fall is a time of bringing into the inner landscape, contemplation, looking at what's not working, what is working, and then letting go of that which doesn't serve you, right? So the negative emotion, if you will, I don't think any emotions are negative, but the emotion that we really don't enjoy feeling when it comes to the fall and the metal element, which we're in now, is grief and lack of self-worth. So the metal element connects us to the feelings of sadness and grief. So while these feelings might not be pleasant to experience, they're necessary nonetheless, right? So they are your body's way of processing challenging life experience, such as loss, like loss of a loved one, or loss of your job or something like that. But there's other losses that I want you guys to consider that need to be grieved. So in my work as an empowerment coach, this is what I do in my fitness and wellness and nutrition and weight loss programs. It is the empowerment coaching that allows me to go in and assess what's really going on behind the scene, because it's usually not about the macros or the calories or the diet plan, if you want to be on a diet plan, or the exercise programming. Those things are important, yes, but they're the only 20%. The other 80% is the mindset. So this is where we go in and see what's really going on and what's standing in our way. And here's what I know you guys already know. What's standing in our way is always ourselves. Yes, there's going to be challenges with time, money, resources, people, all that kind of stuff. But those can be worked around. And the biggest challenge is where we are putting up roadblocks that we don't even know. And that's the self-limiting, self-sabotaging beliefs. And once we come to understand and remove those, not just understand, but remove them and replace them with empowering beliefs and an expanded self-identity. Now we have a higher, stronger foundation on which to put our healthy food and our healthy movement and our healthy mindset plan. So that's the whole deal that we want to do, because 95% of all people that embark on a healthy living program, whether it's weight loss, whether it's body shaping, whether it's improving health, all of the above, they lose their gains within 6 to 18 months. And the reason for that is because of this, right? It's not because of the externals. And our society is so focused on the externals, and marketers have just they have a game out there. To them, it's just like, putting candy in front of babies. Well, now try this and try this and try this, and we'll get this done in 10 weeks, and we'll do this in 6 weeks, and try this magic lotion and potion. So it's all this outer stuff. But what's missing is the inner. And not many people can teach that. And the reason for that is because we're not well versed in it. We didn't learn it at school, really. And it goes a little bit beyond psychology, but psychology would be helpful. We didn't really learn it in our families. Not many families are authentically empowered and passing it on to their children. And remember, authentically empowered is nothing to do with status or money or what car you drive or what social standing you have. Those are roles and things, and they're great. They're great for a great life. Authenticity is standing in exactly who you are, knowing who you are, and speaking your truth, and coming from a place of groundedness and rootedness. No judgment, no shame, no guilt. And you're always managing and working through your emotions. That's the biggest piece, guys, because without that, it's going to be the roadblock that you're not going to understand when you say, I don't have motivation, I don't have willpower, I was stressed, life took me out. All of those things are happening to all of us, but we need to push that aside. And then we need to look at what's really going on. So here's where I say to some people, the grief, okay, metal element, let's just take that for an example. We're in fall, metal element, grief and sadness. What do we need to let go of, right? We need to let go of, yes, the loss of a loved one could be a big one, but it can also be the loss of our dreams, right? What did we hope for as young women that didn't transpire? The loss of a marriage or an important relationship, even if it wasn't healthy for us, there's still a loss to be mourned. A loss of our body as we age, that's a big one, right? And that's always there and around us and reminding us. Loss of function, the loss of being able to have a full night's sleep, the loss of freedom as you get older. Some people have more freedom, some people have less. The loss of understanding that retirement perhaps isn't the be all and the end all what you thought it would be, right? Life is supposed to get easier as you get older, and it's not necessarily true. And you and I know that for sure. The loss of things that we wished we had, where we might have wished we had more courage or more tenacity or more opportunity. All of these things need to be looked at, brought up to the surface, validated. Okay. Everything and everybody wants to be heard and validated. And then, right? But you can't just throw it away without bringing something else in its place. Because here's one of the universal laws. Nature abhors a vacuum. What does that mean? It means if you take something out, you have to put something in its place more powerful, more profound than what you took away. Otherwise, there's going to be a gaping hole. And guess what? That hole is going to be filled with the same that you just took out. So you have to redefine and co-create with the universe what you want. We call that nature abhors a vacuum. It's kind of like you're at the ocean, right? Remember when your kids were digging, little tunnels in the sand because they wanted to build stuff, and they were right at the water's edge. But every time you dug in and took a chunk of sand out, the water would come in and fill it up, unless you put something different in there to stop it, right? That's exactly what we need to do with our dreams and aspirations, is we need to look at what's not serving us and have a way of moving through and letting it go. And saying I'm letting it go is okay, but it's a thinking thing. Your feelings and your beliefs and your grief and your sadness and your loss is a feeling thing. And I always say the way between the heart and the head, that's a very long way indeed. Most people stay in their head because it's comfortable, because it's what we know, and there's a control feature in our head, right? And so we may have been, I talk to women every week that have been on countless diets. Some have been dieting for like 30 years. So without any kind of change, you're just getting the same water filling in that hole along the ocean side, right? And this is where you can't just change to another diet, because it's the same action, it's the same habit. Oh, okay, well, here's everything laid out. This is what I'm supposed to eat. Tell me what to do. Okay, I'll try. And what comes in the way? Procrastination, stress, challenges. Life takes us away. Lack of motivation. Don't have the willpower. Oh, I don't feel like it today. I'm not seeing as much change as I want to. Feeling impatient and frustrated. And you do okay for a while, and then it all just blows away. It's because of this, guys. So there's an unconscious belief systems, self-limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And today we're talking about the fall metal element, which is grief. And it could be that you just got to get that grief out of the way. Usually we can't do it ourselves, but sometimes with the help of somebody in the know, a coach, a therapist, a counselor, whatever it needs to be, because it needs to be witnessed by an external person. So we often can't heal self when it comes to that depth. And the reason is because we can't be objective with self, right? Don't you know, we can always help everybody else, right? A lot of us are people pleasers and supporters and care workers for other people, but it's hard to do it ourselves. That's the classic, right? But it's because we can't be objective with self. So this stuff needs to be sorted in a way that you come to understand the feeling and the language around it, and then you can look at it for what it really is and go, okay, I decide this needs to go, and have an exercise and a strategy to allow it to go. And then you bring what you want into your life. So do you remember in the 70s or the 80s? I may be dating myself here, but do you remember when it was the time of affirmations? Everybody had affirmations, right? People were like, you may still do this, sticky notes. I don't think they had sticky notes back then, but stick little things on their bathroom mirror to remind them, or they'd carry around little recipe cards of reminders and healthy up-leveling thoughts and all that kind of stuff. And what happened was it kind of fell apart in the 70s and 80s because people were thinking just by reading the words, it was like osmosis. It would get into the body and we would have change. But the change and the challenge is when we have to carry a new thought, a new belief system 24 hours a day. So that's also where the world of meditation kind of fell away in the 80s, because the only people that were doing really, really good in their meditation were the monks who could sit on a mountaintop and live up there, right? And they could pray and meditate and chant and do all this beautiful stuff for 24 hours a day. The challenge was when they came down from the mountain and became normal civilians and they had to wash the dishes and clean the house, that was when it started leaving, and they were like, what's going on? I've lost that euphoria. And that's because they have to come down into the normal world and live. And so that is where, in my work as an empowerment coach, we have to have a way to be able to focus on what we need to let go of, what we need to grieve in this instance, say in fall, and what we want to bring in order to replenish and nurture in a different way, to build a belief system that's more conscious and that will allow us to carry, if it's our healthy living program, into the next 30 years without missing a beat, without having to go through another fall and another, I'll try again on Monday. Those just pull on the soul, and they just pull pieces of flesh out of you. The feelings of unworthiness and shame and guilt that women go through after years of that, no wonder they stop trying, because they don't want to feel that failure. They don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. So they stop trying. And then aging becomes this terrible thing where they're watching their body and their health just change before them, and they feel helpless because they don't want to go back into that pain again. But here's the deal. There is the pain of upfront discipline and change versus the pain of inaction. So you got to kind of choose your pain. The pain up front, where if you've got a great program, strategy, and coach, where you can get to where you want to be with different tools and a different skill set than the majority offers, that's for sure, or the pain of regret and staying where you're at. And some people have this low-grade uncomfortableness about aging, or what happens is society says it's hormones, or it's aging, or you're not trying hard enough, or you just got to put up with it. And they're all false. It's not true. But sometimes women will buy into it, so they don't have to do the work of trying to step out of it and doing the work and taking responsibility in doing things differently, right? Because that can be onerous as well. So please take a look at where you're at this fall and where you want to be, because fall is a time for introspection, for contemplation, and for putting in place. This is where we start putting the seeds in, right? Fall, harvest, all of our expectations and all of our meanings can be found in nature, guys. Just take a look outside your window. And so we're planting and we're waiting and we're treating them well in this beautiful nurtured soil. And then in spring, they start to bloom. So this is a time of drawing in, okay, what plants worked this year? What did we harvest? What didn't work? Okay, we're not going to do that one again, but we need more of this in our life. And then helping them to just sit and ponder and do your journaling, do your reading, do your meditation work and your prayer work, do your breath work, work with your chakras, do all this beautiful stuff to bring in this fall a vision of who you are, what you want to manifest, what you want to bring into your life. Because here's the deal, ladies. If you're 40, 50, 60, your life, our life is half over. For some of us, more than half over. So we need to look at how do we want to live for the next 20, 30, 40 years on the planet? What does that look like? What do we need to do? Where do we need to step in? And this is where courage and leadership are very, very important. Few women can do it on their own. I've had the grace of having many great coaches, and they're still in my world. And they're people I've had for the last 30 or 40 years that I draw on and that I can take my stuff to as I grow. And we need people who are causing us to stretch ourselves. So if you don't have somebody in your world like that, find somebody who is living the life as you want, who is able to support you in your emotional, mental, and spiritual and physical health and wellness, and who is there to support you and cheer you on. This fall, I am doing the Warrior Woman Workshop all about falling back in love with ourselves. And it is taking place September 23rd, 24th at my beautiful home here on Vancouver Island. We still have some spots left, and I would love for you to take a look at what we're doing. Everything that we're doing in this workshop is everything that I have learned and been teaching for 30 years. We're going to touch on all the topics, the universal laws, resistance versus flow, stepping into our truest identity. What is our purpose? And we're going to talk real food, proper macros, proper portioning, timing, and proper training for the body that you want. We're going to look at metabolism. We're going to look at hormones. We're going to look at all that stuff because all that stuff matters. We are complex beings, us females over 40. And life is not getting easier. In fact, life is speeding up. And what we need to do is just slow it down, go within, consider how we want to live, how we want to look, how we want to feel, what's important to us, and have a kick-ass body in a beautiful life that we can spend the next 30 years in. So the link is down below. Take a look at it. You can DM me with any questions, or my email is in there as well. And let's rock it, because the world's changing and everybody's feeling it, especially women over 40. These are the people whose intuition is at the highest. When we are changing in our hormones and we're aging, our intuitive sense is very, very strong. You may not know it, but you're kind of feeling it. Okay, there's a feeling of, is this all there is? Like, what am I not getting? What's important to me? How do I want to live the second half of my life? That is the little bits of inspiration that are coming in from above that you're grabbing hold of and recognizing that energy. And in this workshop, we're going to talk about that and how to bring that into a language and an understanding and how to make that energy work in your life. All right, you guys, lots of love. Thanks for listening. And remember who you are. And remember the beauty of the feminine at this beautiful point in our world. All right, you guys, take care. Lots of love.